Hi, I'm Alan. I'm going to tell you about a mountainous civilization.
Hi, I'm Adri, and I'm going to teach you about the Great Serum Run.
Hi, I'm Melissa, and I have a story about a doctor who reached new heights.
What do all of these stories have to do with the term highest? Find out in this episode of History Bluffs. Hello and welcome to episode 103 of History Bluffs. It's where truth is stranger than fiction. I want to welcome to this episode your host. It's Gina.
Hi, how are you, everybody? Good evening. Happy Wednesday. It is Gina Bobina from Orlando, Florida for History Bluffs. And I have with me three fabulous historians from top to bottom, highest
Nope.
to high.
Oh no. Oh, they're
We
out
did
of
it the wrong order.
It didn't
There
happen.
we go.
There we go.
No, it's fixed now.
Yay! We have a little treat for those of you watching. For those of you listening, Melissa is the highest in our order on the screen. So hi, Melissa. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Cool.
How are you?
I'm great, Melissa. So, Melissa, you are the person in the group who, to me, is the newest. Therefore, I don't know you as well, but love you very much already. But I would love to know what I do. Like some of the ways we build trust and stuff on the show is to find out about things. And so, I have a fear of heights, and so highest is our subject. Is there anything in your life that you are wretchedly afraid of?
Yes, I am terrified of kangaroos. I think they are terrifying animals.
You are on the right continent, I think, except for the zoos. I would avoid the zoos, but aside from that, I think you're in good shape.
Yeah.
And are you serious also?
Is she serious?
Are you serious also?
Yes, I'm serious.
Okay.
If they kick you, the sheer force that a kangaroo has is terrifying.
That's awesome. Can you explain more on that? Ish?
Yeah, no, I mean, so they, first of all, they're marsupials. So they have a completely different way of thinking than we do. So you can't get in their brains. They can do whatever they want. They kind of have a herd mentality, and they have such an built upper thigh that if they kick you, it could kill you.
Yeah,
Wow.
Those kickboxers are the same way, and they hurt people. So I can only imagine.
So are we talking pounds per square inch, like the Russian guy in Rocky, or are we crazy, or? I don't know.
Instinctually, I believe since they're lower to the ground, through physics, they probably do pack a better punch.
They probably do.
Than that.
I mean, every day is leg day for a kangaroo.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean that's really good. That's
Looney Tunes backs up her claim. So
Yes, the boxing kangaroo.
that's right.
Yes,
right.
exactly. That's it. And whenever you fake that for a mouse, you're in trouble. So, Alan, I do know you probably the best out of this group right now, except maybe Adam.
Yes.
And so,
Right.
but what I don't know is if you travel, what's the highest place you've ever been? Where have you gone that you're like, wow, this is amazing. I can see it everywhere.
Highest elevation?
Sure, ish.
Or you mean furthest north? But I think
I'm
okay. Highest elevation, I think, was probably somewhere in the California Rockies, is my guess. That's what I can remember. But again, I didn't have an altimeter, so I couldn't tell you for sure.
Oh, those peaks are around 10K.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, 10K.
Nice.
So that's the answer. And Adri, I don't have a fancy question for you. Tell us something cool.
Well, the highest I've ever been in the United States is Alaska.
Oh, very cool. Did you go when it was all night or all day at some point?
Honestly, I don't know because we went on a cruise and it was so cold outside that I never went outside when it was evening hours. So I have no idea.
Ooh, what did they do on the inside of the cruise to keep you entertained?
Well, if you ever go on an Alaska cruise, the median age is probably 70. So there's a lot of karaoke and a lot of shopping. We were two of the youngest people on the cruise ship.
Do they actually do shuffleboard, as movies have led me to believe?
It is there, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of
But is it
games.
Is it outside or inside?
It's all inside, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So that's smart. Thank you, Alaskan Cruise Lines.
There
Very
you go.
So cool. So then that was just to, let the audience know us a little bit better. Now we're going to get into the show. And Adam, the only way we can get into a game show is to know how the rules go. So throw those up for us and I'll tell the audience.
Let's do it. Let's bring up the historian rules card. Gina, tell them what they're maybe gonna win.
All right, our show goes like this with prizes are in the vault, and Adam will tell you at the end of the show.
I sure will.
Okay, so here's how it goes. So the show is put into 3 rounds, and the topic tonight is highest, and so that will be the inspiration for every story that you hear. However, 2 of the stories are going to be true, and 1 of the stories is going to be a big fat bluff. So your job as the audience is to get in your brain like who you think is telling you the truth and who you don't think is. You're allowed to ask questions on the side, but what we ask is that you don't Google anything and look it up and spoil it for anybody else. Now you're welcome to Google it and find out for yourself, but please don't share. And because we won't reveal until the end of the last round who the bluff for the show actually is, and all they're going to try to do the whole show is trick you. So to get started, we are going to go into what we call round 1, and and that will go for 75 seconds. So Adam, I think we're ready to start.
I think we are. Let's do it. Let's go to round number 1.
Okay, so this round, it starts at 75 seconds. They get progressively shorter each round. And I am going to actually go in the highest, higher, and high order for all of our high historians. And so we'll start with Melissa. Melissa, you get to go for round 1. We're going to move you to the middle of the board. And as soon as you hear the boom.
Before we start, we're going to use the Gina-inspired.
This is why we do this.
That's why we do this. We're going to bring up the Round Tracker 9000.
So what I'm very good at is hosting and being silly. What I'm not good at is keeping track of things. So Adam made this for me so that I can see when people go and how many people have gone in each round. Because otherwise we'll just keep going all night.
It's true. It's true. It helps Gina and it helps our audience viewing at home.
It does. So Melissa, you're going to be the first dot in that round tracker, and you're going to start right after the boom. The topic is highest.
It's said that mountains can be teachers about overcoming obstacles, but what about teachers for medicine? That's exactly the thought of Charles Sneed Houston, who is an American climber and physician. He was born in 1913 in New York, and he was a Harvard grad who eventually earned his doctorate of medicine from Columbia University. Now, he always had this huge love of climbing ever since he was young. And in 1938, he joined the British American Himalayan expedition and attempted to climb K2, which is the second highest mountain in the world after Everest. And some people would say that it's actually more dangerous than Everest because of some of the angles that you have to navigate. So he never reached the summit that time. And in the meantime, World War II broke out and he became a flight naval surgeon. Now, when he was in this position, he was also in charge of something called Operation Everest. And in that operation, he had to do a simulation, which basically showed that you could train a pilot to work in like depressurized situations, which is actually pretty cool and changed the game for tactical things for the Air Force.
Okay. Oh, I love this story already because it's like got Air Force, mountains, medicine, everything. Adri, what are your thoughts about her story so far? Bluffing, truth? What do you think?
I was thinking exactly that. There's so much going on. He went to Harvard and Columbia and wanted to climb K2 and join the military. There's a lot happening here, which makes me skeptical. So we'll see in round 2 what's behind all this madness.
Okay, so Adri is using the too much information strategy.
Yeah.
And Alan, what are your thoughts for Melissa's story so far?
Well, it's interesting. Melissa's talking about someone who was spent a lot of time in New York City, and New York City is the only place that I know of that Houston is not pronounced Houston. So that might be, I don't know, maybe that's where she got her inspiration for this character's name.
Oh, yeah. Houston, got a problem. Okay, so I love that. And I didn't know the K2 thing. I feel like that doesn't get as much love as Everest. So shout out to K2.
Shout it out.
For all you mountain climbers. There's anybody on the cast? Have you ever climbed a mountain?
Not
like
really.
in real life?
I've
How about
taken
a mountain
ski
wall?
lift up.
Oh, yeah. You know what I do on ski lifts because of my fear of heights? I sit on the ground like this.
Oh
in his
man.
first
Oh, the
story.
gondolas, not the
Yeah.
set. Okay, yeah, all right. Yeah,
Oh no,
that's
in the
fair.
ski lifts too. They look at me
Oh.
funny, but I don't care.
Okay. Mm.
No, I can't. It's like it's fun, but very
They're
scary.
high. They're high up.
They
They're
are
high up. All right, so we're gonna go to Adri next because you're down in the next one. So Adri, go ahead and start your story. We'd love to hear your round one after the boom.
Okay. So my story takes place in the coastal city of Nome, Alaska. During the winter of 1925, something important to note, at a certain point, usually about November, all of the ports basically shut down because everything freezes over. It's nothing but ice. And the only link to the rest of the world during this time is through the Iditarod Trail, which runs 938 miles from basically the north of Alaska all the way to the south of Alaska, which then leads into Canada. In the winter of 1925, a doctor named Curtis Welch discovered the hospital's entire batch of diphtheria antitoxin or vaccine, basically, had expired. And so he ordered another batch, but it didn't get there before the harbors closed. So now fast forward like a month, and out of nowhere, these kids start getting sick. Originally, he thinks it's tonsillitis or just like a cold, a sore throat, whatever. After a couple weeks, these kids start dying, and he discovers there is a diphtheria outbreak. The ports are closed. Flights and planes aren't really a reliable thing in 1925, so they have to rely on the Iditarod Trail.
Oh my goodness. Okay, this also has a lot. There are stakes in this story. So I would like to turn it over to Alan. Alan, you tell us what you think so far. Truth?
Diatrod Trail sounds made up.
Oh.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Boom! That's it. Melissa.
Yeah, I kind of went it reminded me of Oregon Trail, except with more stakes and less snakes, because kids that have diphtheria. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
It is a big deal for those of you at home who don't know what diphtheria is. It's a serious infection caused by strains of bacteria called Coryphus something di something that make toxin. Okay,
Sounds very
moving
scientific.
on.
Very
And-
scientific.
and make people die, so it's bad. Okay, so those are your first two stories. We have the mountain climber, we have the dying children, and now Alan, it is your turn at the boom.
Here we go.
Okay, I'm gonna try to pronounce this correctly. Subsaziata tribe is a nomadic culture in the Himalayan mountains, and some of whom have become professional Sherpas for tourists who decide to climb Mount Everest. The Subsaziata tribe appear to have a higher tolerance for high altitude, living then more so than other Himalayan tribes like the Gujar and the Bakarwal tribes. They live on maize primarily, and they reserve rice and wheat for their livestock. Now, some tribe members grow tea and fruit on Himalayan farms. Those are the less nomadic people, I'm assuming. And their economic conditions in the Himalayas partly dependent on the limited resources available in different parts of the vast region of varied ecological zones. The principal activity is animal husbandry, but forestry, trade, and tourism are also important. The Himalayas around economic sources include pockets of rich arable land, and I'll get into more of it later.
Oh, that's great. I've heard of this tribe, and there is a Jewish subsection of it, and they're called the Subsay Yada Yadas. And so they are and they're fantastic.
Wow.
We used to see them every Thursday at 9:00. Okay, so Melissa, your thoughts on that? Not my joke, on the story.
Yeah, no, it sounds like plausible that there could be a tribe that is specialized in in this niche. I feel like I need to hear more before I pick out more pockets of where there might be some untruths, but so far it sounds plausible. Yeah.
Okay, so plausible it is. So that's the first plausible I've heard all show. Adrian,
I think so.
Yeah, thanks, Adam.
Yeah, I also agree. I don't really have much to add to that. I'm waiting to get to the juice of the story, but I'm intrigued to see, what else these tribes do up there. There's a reason why the Sherpas are so good at what they do, and I have a feeling this story is going to focus on that. So
Okay. Oh, good. I hope so too, because I don't know that world very well because of the height thing. But also I wanted to just let our audience know that animal husbandry may not be what you think. It's actually the science of breeding and caring for farm animals. That's it.
Oh.
I love that term. It's great. I don't know where it's from,
Okay.
but it's a great term.
I was
You're not
just
making an
doing a
animal your
dating
husband.
show.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I had that's why I looked it up. See, I looked up on Google. I'm just going to share that, but I won't steal any
The audience
thunder
can't
from
do
their
that.
stories.
No
The audience
spoilers.
cannot. Okay, no spoilers. All right, so that means that means we are done with round 1. And Adam,
Nice.
that means the only thing to do is to go to round 2. This is the round where the time gets shorter, so we're going to be 60 seconds for this round. And Adria, I'd like to start with you to go ahead and bring us in for this round.
Okay.
Okay, let's get her into the center spot, and your round starts.
Okay, so realizing that an epidemic was imminent, Welch called the Gnome's mayor and the town to have a meeting, and a quarantine was set in place right away. The following day, they sent out like telegrams and whatever the equivalent of a text message was back there to find the closest city that had this antibiotic. And it was actually in a city called Seward, which was at the south of Alaska. So they had to get the antibiotics from down there up to Nome. And the only way to do it was using sleds, pushed by dogs, specifically Siberian Huskies. And so they put this plan in place, which usually that whole run takes about 30 days, but they needed to get the medicine within like 7. So what they did was they did like a relay where they had like 6 different teams that would run the track and get the medicine from one place to the next. And I'll conclude that story in round 3.
So you say. Okay, Melissa, please, what are your thoughts on that? It's like this is like a movie. Good. Like this is great.
It is. There was a movie called Snow Dogs that came out in
yes.
the 2000s.
Yeah.
Reminds me of that a little bit.
It was a good movie.
I think.
Sorry.
Yeah, it was.
Sorry, audience.
Sorry,
Sort of.
Didn't mean to interrupt my canned audience back here. All right.
Melissa, I didn't know if you were done. I don't want to move on if you're not.
Oh no, I was saying I think that there's some things like the city that you said. I think it was Seward. Sounded like a real place. So I'm like, okay, that's a point for you.
Oh, so Adri has 1 point. Does she have a plausible? That's what I want to know.
A point is not a plausible.
Those might convert. Okay.
Offer valid at participating historians.
I like it. So, Alan, please tell us your thoughts on the story, Snow Dogs, Iron Will, whatever you'd like.
Literally, the only thing I wrote down was the opposite of what Melissa just said, which was that the Seward rhymes with sewer, which is only known for biotics, and they're finding antibiotics in this place.
Oh, wait a second.
So, are you saying that this might be BS? Is that
It might be some S
okay?
that
Well,
you find in a Seward.
so if I'm remembering correctly, there was a plausible. Was it about this story before? Now it's unplausible. Is it
No,
implausible?
it's Alan's. Alan's got the
Alan's.
plausible.
I'm the one who's
plausibility.
casting doubt. It sounds like Melissa saying.
Oh,
it's very
so
plausible.
Melissa's saying plausible. You're saying not so plausible. And so, Alan, let's go to you. Like, I would love to hear
okay.
your next part of your story so that we can
Okay.
just see what happens and go for it.
Okay. So there is a subsaziata tea, which is grown in plantation mainly in the hills and on the plain at the foot of the mountains in the Darjeeling. I'm sorry, I've got so many pronunciations here. The Darjeeling districts. Now, these plantations also produce limited amounts of tea in the Kangra Valley, and the subsaziata are the only known tribe that is able to transport it from their high elevations down to the more densely populated cities in both India and Bhutan. And not for the brave subsaziata, most people in that region of India would not ever even know what this type of tea tastes like. And the subsaziata transhumans is the seasonal migration of livestock.
I love how Alan, for those of you who can't see him at home, he keeps making the I don't know face, and so I love that gives me the greatest confidence. Melissa, how say you about that?
Yeah, I was gonna say there were so many words in here. I was so hung up on the pronunciations.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking you subsadiata pronounce them. I don't know, like quickly. There's so many subsadiata have better words that I can understand. I don't know. I was like lost in some of it. But
sorry.
Kangaroo sounded like kangaroo, which I already said I'm afraid of. So I was like, did that mean something?
He's talking in code.
Alan, you triggered her. You are
did.
safe
Yeah, I
here,
apologize.
Melissa.
He's playing 3D chess over here.
Yeah, like that's a strategy if I ever saw one.
Is it
Rude,
to throw
but
them off my scent? I don't know.
yeah,
Gina,
exactly.
it's not rude. It's kangaroo.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You get the yes, you get the
sure.
Actually, you should get sad trombone for that.
Probably, but I control the sound, so no. It's a glorious rim shot. Continue, please.
There you go. Adri, your thoughts on Alan's the triggering or the story? Your choice.
Yeah, I was also thinking that I'm so distracted by the word subsidiata. I keep thinking like I've heard this word before, and I just keep going back to Mortal Kombat, and then I'm just I don't know. I'm seeing red flags just by the overuse of the word subsidiata and other words he can't properly pronounce. That's a historian tactic. I've seen it before, and I know what I'm looking at. So
I've seen it before. I've fallen for it before, and I'm not sure what's happening. All right. So what that means, though, is that we just have one more person to go in this particular round. So Melissa, I think that's you. Let's go for it. Highest story.
All right. In 1953, Houston embarked on another mission to climb K2. And this is the one that kind of lived on in history books, and climbers tell the story a lot. But it was a member of his team, Art Gilkey, actually got super sick on the way up to the top of this mountain and started to get blood clots, which are bad enough at sea level and are super deadly when you're at high altitudes like that. So they made a makeshift gurney out of canvas from the tents and started to make their way back down the mountain. But one member actually fell. And because they were all in a line and roped up together, he like kind of cascaded into the other climbers. And one by one, they're like tumbling down the mountain. And with quick thinking, another person in the party took an axe, and like wrapped some rope around it and stuck it into the side and saved the entire team. And so that's been known in climbing communities as the belay, and it lives on as like a legend.
Oh, the belay legend.
Yeah.
Yep, never heard of it. So I don't know, true or not. Adri, your thoughts? I see you scribbling furiously there.
Yes.
Or fiercely, whatever.
Well, a few months ago, my algorithm on Instagram got all messed up and ended up being a lot of like mountain climbing stuff for unknown reasons, because I certainly don't climb. And I can attest that most of that is true. So the plausibility rating is going way up for Melissa right now.
That's two plausibles now. One's for Alan, one's for Melissa.
Yeah. Adri, you're the only one who doesn't have a plausible. Just pointing it out. Alan, your thoughts, please, on Melissa's story.
I mean, I don't know enough about mountain climbing to say whether or not this is plausible or not. I know the term belay from watching Star Trek The Next Generation when Riker says something and then they say belay that order. That's all I know the term belay from. I don't know. Maybe Houston created this. He was apparently in the Navy. And that's why they use it in Star Trek, but I don't know.
You sure they didn't say fillet that order? Like
they
at
could.
a restaurant.
No, that's Star Wars, the Mon Calamari. Okay.
Or did they say andale?
So you've heard of her story. Have you heard of the pronunciations from her story? Like, are they accurate?
Yeah. Well,
oh yeah,
wait, who are you
that's for
asking?
Adri.
Oh, well, actually, that was for you, Alan. From I was being
I was just saying that
term.
term. I just heard that term, but that's not referring to an axe with a rope tied around it.
Oh.
That was basically to say ignore what you just heard, which really doesn't sound like it has anything to do with an axe with a rope tied around it or mountain climbing. For that
Fair,
matter.
but I don't know French. It could be French for that.
Could be. Yeah, maybe it's related. I don't know how it is.
Yeah.
Usually means it's French.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I do have French for trois, I think. It means
Yeah.
that we're done with round trois. I don't know.
Round two is
deux.
deux.
Okay. I thought that.
Okay.
Okay, so we're done with round deux. We're gonna go to round
Mhm.
trois, and Adam, take us in.
Ah, bienvenue à round 3.
That could have or could not have been French, and I would never know. So this means that we're in our last round, which means that we want Alan to go first for this one because we have not heard from him in the first round yet.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, okay. All
So
right.
Alan, go for it.
Here we go.
After World War II, the Subsahara helped to survey India and Western scientists in preparing a large-scale map of the Himalayas, and that was translated into aerial photographs. And parts of the Himalayas were also mapped by German geographers and cartographers with the help of ground photogrammetry, again. In addition, satellite reconnaissance has been able to employ and produce more accurate and detailed maps, and aerial photographs have been used in conjunction with other scientific observations made to monitor the effects of climate change, and none of this would have been possible without the help of the Subsahara.
Oh.
Yes. Okay, so just in time, a couple of seconds to spare, in fact. Do you wish to relinquish your last few seconds to any of the other players?
Anyone who wants to take advantage, they may.
That's very generous.
Okay, very generous. Okay, so Adri, you look like you're suspecting. You look like he's sus.
Mm-mm.
I suspect that our friend Alan here has used AI for his story tonight because it's like he typed in, story about mountain climbing or story about the Himalayas.
Who
And
types
then-
like that?
Whatever
Me,
that
apparently.
He types like a Muppet,
Yeah.
was. Yes.
like animal.
Fantastic.
And
Oh, you-
his story about a tribe that no one's ever heard of came up that they grow tea and they help the cartographers and another word that I've never heard of before, the photographer, whatever did you say? Yeah, I'm not buying it.
So for future shows,
Photogrammetry. Photogrammetry. Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it.
It's a French word, I guarantee it.
for future shows, you can with AI tell it to dumb it down so you
Dumb
can
it down.
Yeah.
Do some pronunciation. Words I can pronounce.
ChatGPT, do that again, but without French words.
Yeah, but with smaller words
Oh, God.
and or
Jeez.
phonetic pronunciation. So, Alan, just for next time, just saying. Melissa, your thoughts?
I was gonna say, yeah, that's a lot to just say that the Subsahara, they made a map. Yes.
Yeah, that's true. That is the short version. That's the short version.
We could have been done so much sooner.
It's 3 minutes. to
Wasting our
say-
time,
Well,
Alan.
even with the long version, I still had too much time.
Alan, I know. Alan's strategy tonight was let me throw in some big words that feel French or Latin. I'm gonna throw them off the scent.
All
So
right.
speaking of scent, that's really
You need
not
a
a
map.
segue. Yeah, you need a map. I need a map to
All
know
right.
who to go to next. Actually, it's Melissa. Melissa, I would like to go to you for your. Please tell us about a little more about the belay axe or whatever it's called.
All right, we'll set it up. Here we go.
Okay, so they made it down the mountain, and as they made it past that moment, their person on their team is dying, and they start to make camp, and they put him towards, like, they kind of chain him up. I'm not really sure the correct mountain language for it, but they secured him on the side of the mountain, and basically, as they're setting up the tent. You're laughing and it's not funny.
Laughing at Alan. I'm listening. Melissa, I'm listening intently. I'm trying not to look at
Okay,
her.
well, but you're not gonna like this part because he died while they were setting up the tent. So they set up the tent, they got back, and he was no longer there. But despite that, they won a lot of awards for their heroism. And Houston went on to basically have books. I'm taking Alan's second.
Yes.
Yep,
Take
yep,
him. Take
was
him.
going to be the expert on high altitude pulmonary edema.
Oh, hold up. So sorry, this guy died, but they learned from it to help save other people.
Yeah, so the Houston, who was the captain of the troop, he was able to. He never actually climbed a big expedition after this incident because it was so dramatic. But they won awards for the heroism, and he used it for medicine.
Aw, that's very cool. Well, it was lucky that he was in medicine to begin with. That was good. That was good fortune, not for the guy.
Well, not for the
Yeah, Adam, I know. Moment of silence. Okay, Alan, your turn.
All right.
Thank you. I spoke during the moment of silence.
No, it's okay.
I like that he's now an expert on what to do in these situations. Like, Houston, tell us what you did. Well, I chained up a dying patient. Oh, and that worked? No, he died.
Oh, no.
And then I like that.
It was a learning experience.
Melissa didn't like Melissa's first term. Instead of saying he died, they said they lost him. How'd you lose a chained up patient? You lost him. He was right here.
He's around here somewhere.
Tree. Oh no.
It was odd, though.
I'm not gonna lie, Melissa. When you said the belay thing with the axe, I was like, cool. But then he died. Okay, Adri, your thoughts.
Well, first of all, I apologize for laughing. It was very unprofessional of me. But then you said something like, I think this is the only thing I remember because my soul left my body. But you said something like, I don't know the word. And I was thinking, oh, I'm sure Alan's GPT can look it up for you.
Oh, my AI?
Yeah.
Your AI.
Yeah. Have Alan plug it into his Storymatic.
The word is sad. That was sad, Melissa. Very sad.
Oh, man.
Aw, that's a really sad story. I don't want it to be true, but I also do because maybe we learned something from it. All right. Well, now we have one thing and one thing only because there's only one hole left.
Oh, yeah.
And that belongs to Adri. Adri, fill the hole. Tell us your story whenever you hear the boom.
Here we go.
Wait, make sure she stops laughing.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll restart the timer. We'll do it again. All right. Deep breaths. Here comes the history.
Okay, so where we left off was that they have set up this relay. 5 different teams are going to do this. And there was one team led by a Siberian Husky named Togo. And he led his team of dogs through, how cold was it? It was like negative 70. The winds were 80 miles an hour. I mean, it was absolutely terrible. But he was the team that led down 674 miles. Was this dog alone in 4 days. And they made it in time to deliver the medicine. They stopped the epidemic. And yeah, a few people died, but they saved a lot of lives.
What about the doggy?
So Togo was he was 12 years old at the time. That was his last race that he did. There were several other dogs, though, that didn't make it because the weather was so severe that they got really bad frostbite or exhaustion. And some of them died or had to be put to sleep. But they are memorialized throughout the United States. You can find like statues and stuff like that.
Aw.
Yeah.
So Melissa, your thoughts on Togo?
So this is where I feel like the story started to go downhill a little bit.
Wow.
I think it did.
I know. Togo, when you put it together, it's like to go. It's like the dogs were going. So I was like, I don't know. And why was that the only one that was named?
Oh, that's a good point because, converse to what Alan did, she went and it just said to go because she did the child locks on hers.
Because there was no app. She was just typing in a notepad.
Yeah. Alan, what are your thoughts on that story?
I literally thought the same thing. To go is Togo. Also, Balto is the famous
Balto.
sleigh
Balto is in
driver.
the story too. Yeah.
Oh, Balto was in this story? Because I know...
He's one of the other teams, yeah.
Okay. Well, it ends in O, so Togo, but also he's towing the sled. So that also, it's not just to go, it's like tow, go. So it makes sense when you're making up a dog name, is what I'm saying.
Oh, snap.
Like, I can't even work out for 45 minutes, much less go for 4 days. That's amazing
Yeah.
if this story is true. Like,
Yeah.
okay,
Mhm.
so that I think that leads us to the end of the show. So those of you watching at home, you're welcome to guess at the moment. And for those of you in the show, I would like your final thoughts, your guesses, whatever you think. So I'm gonna actually go to the only person, just so you know, if you're watching or listening, that the only one who knows is Adam. So I don't even know who is fibbing right now. So I would love to learn what your thoughts are, Melissa. Tell us who you think is bluffing or any other final thoughts.
This one's tough. I'm going based on the language used in these stories. We have one that way overcomplicated words, and then one that simplified the words.
Oh,
I think I'm actually, because I think ChatGPT can tell the truth sometimes. I'm gonna guess Adri's the bluff.
okay. We have one guess for Adri, and actually, I'm going to go right to you, Adri. What are your thoughts on whether Melissa or Alan is the bluff?
Well, I don't have that much faith in ChatGPT, so I am going to say Alan is this week's bluff.
Oh, so we have one vote for Alan, one vote for Adri, and then we need to know, Alan, who you think is the bluff this week.
So if I don't vote for Melissa and she's bluffing, that lets her win.
Correct.
And I could also, I mean, like, I believe least in Adri, but often my instincts are wrong. So I'll just play it safe this week and I'll go with Melissa.
Ooh,
Wow.
so we have a three-way tie. Adam, should I break the tie, or should we just let this be a three-way tie?
No,
and
it's
see?
if we can go even numbers, but you're welcome to voice your opinion. It just won't be a weighted guess.
Oh, okay. Then I don't want any more weight.
Okay.
So I'm going to, we're going to turn it over to you, Adam. I'm going to take myself out of the stream. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the part where Adam's going to reveal the winner of the show. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. All right, folks, this is the time of the show. Let me turn this little banner off. We have, I see a comment from the audience, by the way. Hold on. We have one more vote. I'm going to get it in there. We have Mr. Anthony Bolante saying, one would think a liar would be able to pronounce the words in their story. Alan, that's a dig on you.
No.
I believe.
He's saying I'm telling the truth, right?
A liar. Well, I don't think a liar
I
would be
mean,
able
you
to.
could.
Because a liar would be able to
I see. I've got
pronounce.
that inverted. You're right. That's right.
So if
he's
anything,
saying
it's a vote of
not
innocence.
you.
But
It's
he's
a
not
vote of
voting for
innocence.
who the bluff is. So I don't know.
Well, we don't count inverse votes, but your comment is your point. We don't. I
He's
don't know how to
endorsing
do
me,
that.
it sounds like.
He's endorsing you. But here we are. Let's find out who
You
it
could
really
ask
was. Was your bluff for this show? Was it Melissa? Was your bluff Adri? Or was your bluff Alan? I shall reveal the bluff. The whole time, the bluff was Alan. Oh, you would think so, Tony, wouldn't you?
You would think so.
Unless it was a ploy.
It was a ploy.
It was a ploy.
Subsays So many Himalayan nomads are converted into Muslim. And hold on, let me get. I don't have ChatGPT.
Don't try
What,
to
you don't-
tell us the real story because you don't even
No,
know
wait.
it.
It's
I'll tell you
fake-
where the lie came from. So Subsays
Oh.
Yeah.
is
All right.
Urdu, which Urdu
What?
is a commonly
Oh my-
used Muslim language, and it is
Oh, you're being serious.
Subsays
Okay.
is Urdu for the word highest.
Wow.
So that's why.
Oh,
I use
that's
the term
brilliant.
Subsays
That's actually brilliant. I
Yeah.
gotta
I
give
love
you
it.
that.
So I didn't do this into ChatGPT. I did it into Google Translate.
All right,
That's
that's
point out
old school.
that Alan
ChatGPT.
mispronounced 90% of the words in his story, but
Yes.
just pronounced that word perfectly.
He did. That's great. Now we know for next time. That's how we
Yeah.
sniff him out.
Wait, do we know this for sure? Because I'm not familiar with this particular story. So is that actually how you pronounce it? It feels good
What
to
do-
me, but
What,
It feels
Subsays
right.
or other stuff?
Subsayada?
Subsays It's my best pronunciation of it. Someone who
Okay.
speaks Urdu would be like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, fair. Well,
Wow.
we learned something here today. That was
Yes,
very
We
fascinating.
did. We did. Oh, also, if you want to hear more about the dog Togo, there's an excellent movie starring Willem Dafoe all about Togo. I don't remember the name of it, but it's
called
amazing.
Togo.
It's called Togo. Yeah.
You don't
Oh, I
know
thought it was
the
on
name of
Malta.
it?
Oh,
On
No.
Disney.
Yeah. It's Disney Plus. Yeah, I think it's on
Disney
Disney
Plus,
Plus. Oh,
Yeah.
fantastic
Okay.
film. Anyway, that's it.
Anyway,
back
that
to
is
you.
it. Oh, thank you so much. And then
You're welcome.
thank you so much to all of our historians. Thank you to Tony for watching and to listening, and for all of those who in the real world listening. We are happy to have you. We're here every single Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you can find us on the following channels. Adam, take us out. Bye, everybody. Good night.
Let's do it. Come watch us on YouTube and Twitch and Facebook. We're here every week. See you then.